that I would be absolutely shocked if that doesn't mean we're getting on-hit Varus this game. You wouldn't pick that if you're planning on going lethality, but good recognition that this is not going to be a slow game played with poke. This is going to be a game where everybody's looking at each other, and then somebody jumps in.
Yeah, so instead of going for the full clear, gonna try to match Tarzan at his blue buff. Ooh. Gonna spot that ward, and now go in for the steal of the wolves. Tarzan smites away the big one, which is, of course, the most important, but denies the XP, as now On is walking straight into the Tribush, just gonna phase check it and die. First blood to anyone's legend. On's brain seemingly off for that one, and now Shun in some danger as well. Kyle running in to make sure that Shun is not able to contest this blue buff, and AL get a kill for free.
Did he think he was on Alistair? I don't know what just happened there. That was objectively not correct. Okay, cool. Well, that kind of stifles the play for BLG, but they make a counter on mid.
In trouble as well. Yeah, that's an easy kill. It seemed like Shanks was in a position to get away from that rune prison, but opted against it. With that, AL have position around this dragon. That would be a good way to start this game off here on the bottom side for Tarzan. As he heads down on there, should be able to take this one rather uncontested. We actually see shouldn't go back to base right as the grubs spawn. Feels like with Flandre pushing this wave in right now, they don't feel comfortable enough to go for it immediately, and that means that BLG are going to be behind on the neutral objective front to start this game off.
Gonna make it difficult if AL continues to stack up those objectives, but by then we have plenty of time to go. Flandre may, I believe, yes, okay, with the Rek'Sai, they have fished out. Have the rest of his team use their CC or Wombo combo damage to blow them up, and then reset, play another slow engage, and look for another play, as he is diving first play.
Wow, right on to Bin. Underneath the tier 1 turret, Flandre does land the knock-up, but it is followed by the public execution of Bin. Void Rush comes through. Bin not going to flash away for the damage, but does make sure Flandre goes down to the final turret shot. It's a confirmed 1-for-1 as Tarzan does kill him with the Comet Spear, but now he's going to come up with the Realm Warp and make sure that none of the wave is lost.
Oh, hold on. He's ghosting aggressively. Tarzan may have to flash out here.
Gonna be okay for now. He uses the Aegis to get away from a lot of that damage from the overload, but does have to flash away. He's going to be pretty accelerated at this point in the game.
Is a bot laner to first have a full item? This Essence Reaver is basically saying, I get to infinite wave clear now, and you cannot do anything about it. So, hold on, should go for this.
Going in. Flandre forced to flash away. Bin with that Q3, able to finish off the kill. But Tarzan is here, and he has a decent chunk of damage in his own right. But Bin follows up with the public execution. That eclipse with a lot of survivability. And in goes Shun with the flash, and the wind becomes lightning. 3 talent strike, and the kill. That's 2-0 in favor of BLG.
Avoid this as long as he dodges away from that essential ability, and will be able to TP back up top. Has the unleashed TP at this point, is going to be safe up there. Tarzan pressuring bot lane, but Knight's quite tanky.
Look at the damage Knight's able to provide underneath the turret. Kyle with the Pop Blossom. This Knight flashes away from it to make sure he does not get stunned up, but Bin comes in with the TP of his own, has the public execution, and will use it onto Shanks. Gets hit by the Rune Prison, but the Petrifying Gaze in response is going to be enough for the Embested to drop. So it's a 1-for-1 in this fight around the bottom side, and Hope hasn't even arrived yet. Chain of Corruption goes wide, but now Bin looking and hunting for potential stun. Not going to find it, as it will just be BLG backing away.
And while it does result in a 1-for-1, you have your Sivir having to burn ultimate just to evac your support out of the play.
Now Shanks, without any flash or ultimate, is going to be in trouble once again, as Shun has arrived to the bottom lane to take him down. That is Shanks' 3rd death of the game. He has been targeted heavily by the hands of BLG. And he'll be down for the next 30 seconds, but Tarzan looking to make a play of his own. Uses the Grand Starfall to get inner access into that mid lane tier 1 turret. Potentially try to cut Viper off if he goes a greedy route. Gonna get spotted out by that Scrying Orb, but it might not even matter as he is forced to cleanse. Does use the Hail of Arrows to try and slow Tarzan down. And now the Chain of Corruption has come in. Bin has come back from base, and BLG are looking to party once again, and AL are not in the right position. Viper gets payback onto Tarzan, and they'll lose yet another man.
Longtime former teammates, Viper comes out on top in that one. Just barely playing on the edge. Does have to burn his summoners though, makes this Varus a target in future fights. But we need to see AL force something.
It looks like they're just playing it as a bait. Make sure that the full positioning is made aware by BLG. Still a Flandre pushing on the top side with Bin instead opting to join the rest of his team, at least for a moment. Shun playing very aggressively and forces a rocket belt away from Kyle. That is a big engage tool that will no longer be available as BLG regain their control around the bottom river.
This is meant to be the moments when AL comes out on top. Fighting around objectives is where they made their bread and butter in the league, and now with Rift Health being shut down, they are going to regroup as 4 and look to try and defend this mid lane tier 1, a very important objective for keeping map control, particularly with how essential Dragons are going to be to a win form for both teams.
Kyle using the clone to face check that brush where a lot of BLG members were in, and Tarzan opting to go forward is going to just get met here by Shun, who now has a wild growth on top of him. Only one gets stunned up by the petrifying gaze, but Shun is taken, and the Comet Spear from Tarzan will take him down. That's no jungler available here for BLG, and that is the signal for anyone's legend to go forward. Teleport comes in from Tarzan. They're going to go forward onto Viper. The Aegis keeping him alive for so long, nearly able to take the Varus down, but he will live by the slimmest of margins, and Bin has come in to clean up the rest of the fight. Flandre flashes in. He's able to get one back on tonight, but the Mbessa is just massive at this point in the game. Bin 1,500 gold up 4-2-1. Looking to tear apart this Rek'Sai, and Shanks is in some danger as well. There's no ultimate available here for Bin, so he will have to back away, but BLG all in all come out on top in the fight. It's a 2-for-2 overall, but Kyle still a lot long for this world either. Any wave that he chooses right now, that is around the top side. And now Relmorph is coming in underneath the tier 1 turret. Could be in danger, are anyone's legend. Kyle does not hit anybody with that Pop Blossom, and he's already down. And so is Flandre, with Bin landing a beautiful public execution. So it's the tower plus 2 more in favor of Bilibili Gaming, as they have had all of the right answers in this mid game.
Oh, AL want to counter-attack by knocking Billy down here. If they are able to kill him, it would let them go and contest the objective, but no. Bin does have TP. Yeah, like, he's ahead of you now. You can't do anything here, AL. You can't play for this.
The 5v3 Hope does not have the Infinity Edge yet. That is a major power spike that has not been unlocked. Bin just trying to soak up as much pressure as he can to allow his team to wear purple for the next 3 minutes, and they land a Rune Prism onto Shanks as well. Kyle has returned from the Death Realm. Shanks does not hit anybody with that petrifying gaze, and so it will be everybody on the retreat from anyone's legend, and BLG about as strong as this Sivir is going to be in terms of comparison to the rest of the map. 3 full items on this champion, nearing level 16, and AL already off to a good start as they pick off Knight and force him to use the Realm Warp defensively. That is a tool that they will no longer have at their disposal, but Shun still looking to go in. Lands that audacious charge onto Kyle, lands a knockup as well, and there's a Lulu on top of him to shut the Nico down. He dashes away from the petrifying gaze. Shun is popping off. He's got a triple kill here in this one. And now Flandre has teleported in, but is immediately forced to use that tunnel to escape. It is a 3-for-0 in favor of BLG, and that makes sure there is no hope for AL to contest this dragon.
BLG call it too little too late from AL pulling off their attempt at a play. It was exactly what we wanted them to do 20 minutes ago. And not able to walk away with anything, it will be BLG securing an even larger gold lead. They won't be cracking the base off of this Baron, but I think...
You're playing Smash and you got an extra stock. You get to play a little bit more aggressive, make sure you're able to play it with your life a little bit more, and that's what Tarzan is going to force Shun to do. Has the wild growth on top of him now, but still in a pretty good position. Pop Blossom only finds on, and the fight now beginning in earnest with mid laners fighting around the top side of the map. Flandre on a teleport is going to find on a flank, but Tarzan is in a bad position himself, and he'll get taken down at the first casualty, and Flandre goes into the middle of a 1v5, and he's not going to like those odds one bit. He flashes on out. And now it is AL on a complete retreat underneath their own tier 2. But the Realm Warp is going to stop any sort of sense to that. Shanks goes golden, but it will deny the inevitable, as now Hope is the only one left standing around the fight. It is an overall 3-for-0 as BLG dominate once more and will pick up their second Baron of the game.
Question is, what do they get done at the same time? Knight looking to knock down this top lane tower as well, with the dragon spawning. I mean, there's the potential for AL to go for some kind of counter-attack. You have Pantheon up with ult in 12 seconds.
Who has been one of the most consistent, one of the best supports that we've had in the league for over a year, say, at this point. BLG pick up their third Chemtech Dragon, and they are looking good. But they could have maybe picked off on as Tarzan went in with an empowered Blast Cone, but it'll immediately be stymied. And Shun still going to be invulnerable at this point. The Guardian Angel has been popped. Kyle looking for another engage and does find a two-man stun, but it will only be the Guardian Angel being popped off of Shun, and now Bin is straight into the backline, publicly executing anyone's legends right next to their own base. That is going to be another ace picked up as BLG will march into the mid lane as 5 strong to take game 1 of this series.
What decisive fashion to kick off the series. BLG fighting to call themselves top 1 in the league. No talk about this top 2 stuff, as they will walk it down, get their first game in the series. But remember, they still need to close it out if they want to be going into that first spot heading into playoffs.
It was close. Dove a little bit later on into the game.
Yeah.
Shows how that topside matchup went for anyone's legend, and those 2 players specifically are going to have to step it up if they want to have any chance in this best of 3, and even more realistically, it might have been Jinja or something like that. But Aatrox jungle definitely has had its power in other regions, and you want to counter to hard engage here, Melvin? You pick a Renata. The Aatrox is going to help out there as well. I think BLG have a good answer to what anyone's legend have, but AL with a much more solid and complete identity. Obviously, there's enough pieces on AL's side in terms of DPS to make that not as much of an issue, but you still want to have a little bit of threat here. As speaking of threat, Kyle gonna actually flash to land a good headbutt into Knight and pull off an Uno reverse card. Tarzan goes in with a Cyclone, and that's first blood for anyone's legend. Thought that it was a good play for BLG, but AL do a great job turning it around on its head.
That was some 9D chess type of stuff, as now Bin walks down. They will be the grub start. Pretty safe for AL, as On is still not over to the level 6 part, which would have made this fightable. Skirmishing, ADC ults down.
Viper, very, very powerful here with that unleashed ability, so forcing Hope to back away. It's going to be that trade, as you mentioned, but AL, after getting that kill on tonight.
Kyle walking back onto the map. This is just a forfeit. Not going to go for anything. You got the grubs. It was a really delayed trade of objectives across the map. Tarzan hoping he can kind of remedy his situation right now by stealing some camps away, but you know, this Aatrox clears pretty quick.
Able to get out of that one unscathed. And now Shun and Tarzan will once again be contesting here around this topside scuttles. Tarzan does have the ultimate available once again, and so does Shun as he pops the World Ender. In he goes, not going to land that Q2, and now going to be forced to back away. Tarzan with the first proc in the Cyclone does a lot of damage. Shank dashes back over the wall, and Knight still awaiting to use the Emperor's Divide, finds it at a perfect moment to take Tarzan down, and that evens the kill score up for BLG.
He was definitely in a weird situation. Everything about that just kind of felt a bit uncanny watching the play. I wasn't very sure what was going on, if I'm completely honest with you. Like, it was a weird standoff where both mid supports would kind of look at each other, and Knight was the first one to blink.
And now, without having to use that Fate Seal, Shanks can go in and pick up a solo kill on tonight. Just doing a little bit of peppering onto their oppositions. The Rift Herald still has not been taken, but the Dragon will eventually fall. Shanks ends up blast hitting it, evens up that count at 1. Could come at the cost of this tier 1 turret, but I think overall anyone's legend generally in a good spot, as Bin is able to clear this wave out and allow for Shun to make his way towards this Herald on the top side.
I don't know if Shanks is tracking where Bin is, but can potentially cancel a TP should he go for it. Ooh. Does find the recall and stop it, but it doesn't matter. Will there be a force fight here? Kyle is in a great position.
Kyle, he has a great position for a flank, and Tarzan knows it, in with the Cyclone, and it's immediately followed up by Hope. A 2-for-0, as it's a double kill for the Kaisa, and Flandre flashes right over the Sand Soldiers and says, not today. It's a 3-for-0 in favor of AL, and it doesn't even matter that the Herald went over to BLG, because anyone's legends are feeling good in this game too.
That's what I wanted to see from AL. Get to an objective and just slam it down onto BLG. Able to secure some plates on either side of the map as reward. Probably going to be more gold. We find ourselves in a situation where both teams have 1 dragon apiece. The next one spawning is in 3 minutes. Mid lane tier 1s are alive, as AL is forcing something onto Bin.
Landing that Q3, Bin in a precarious situation, but he throws out the all-out, going to try to turn this 1v2. but Shanks the Soul Unbound has suddenly become very powerful, and he's able to take down Bin and zip right back to safety.
And this is the 1-3-1 nightmare scenario, when you have a solo laner who can fight both of the enemy solo lane as well. With the Blade the Ruined King, yeah, Shanks card tears through that Cassandre as now BLG try to do the same for mid lane tower, but TP coming in.
Teleport coming in. It's going to be from both solo laners, and Hope going to try to slow down the bottom lane's retreat on already being taken out. And Shun is going to have to try to hop into this Rift Herald to go on a grand escape, but they break the car open before his very feet. And Tarzan will make it 8-1 in favor of AL.
Baron spawning in 30 seconds. I would be scared about dying here.
In they go again. Knight throws out the Emperor's Divide, but Tarzan dives right under it like he's riding a sandworm from Dune. It's 9-1 now in favor of the Pandas. And they're going to take down this mid-tier 1 and maybe even look for the Nash series that decides my placement in a professional league playoffs. But you know what? They're feeling confident enough. That just shows you AL firing on all cylinders once again. And Shanks is at the heart of that, navigating his way against Knight. And in goes Tarzan again, landing another two-man Cyclone onto Shun and on. They're surviving for a long time, but they have not had Hope arrive yet. They go with the Killer Instinct, but Viper's able to shut him down. And they get a second one on a Tarzan. Here comes BLG, and they're here with a vengeance. 4 kills down, and it's Shanks now trying to fight the rest of the team. But it will not matter. It is BLG with a huge punish, and they're going to get the Baron at the 22-minute mark.
Everything looked so good for AL, and then on a moment it turns. The reinforcements arrive, and AL just weren't able to get enough done in time.
Soaking up all of that damage. You see the power of that Sundered Sky, the healing doing wonders. Keep himself alive, and then, you know, as soon as you get one of those resets, than you were able to previously.
It's a proper
Speaking
install.
of ascending, Knight might ascend up to another world, as he is going to be in a whole lot of trouble. That interaction works well when you're in a 1v1, but maybe not a 1v4, as the Killer Instinct from Hope sends him straight into a big payout of 300 gold.
They could drag themselves right back into it. We saw BLG notice that window at the Baron fight and seize it to make the game even. One more play goes wrong, and suddenly it's back into a winning spot.
Again. Nice, just the Emperor's Divide there by Knight this time, and Hope just gets assassinated straight into 4 members of BLG, and that Killer Instinct ended up killing him instead. Shanks now has to flash over the red buff wall, but he's going the wrong direction as BLG find another opening to get themselves back into this game.
3 people chasing down Shanks. He doesn't have the Baron recall. He has to fight his way if he wants any chance of survival, but it is only a matter of time until Viper, finally having a Viper-like game, being the man that makes the difference in these team fights, knocking down Hope in front of the Baron, knocking down Hope again here. If there's a way for BLG to walk away with it, it seems to be with Viper at the helm.
Yeah, I don't know how exactly Hope got into that situation, but again, just maybe pressing the ultimate at the wrong time. That is just the danger, though, of playing as BLG's composition here, Melvin. When you have a Renata ulti, a Nazir shuffle, even a knockup from Cassante or Aatrox. As soon as you press your instant all-in and that's your last dash, it becomes very difficult to play the rest of the game. And we're going to see that right here. Hope getting zoned out by Knight, but anyone's Legend still trying to force this fight. The headbutt in from Kyle is big, and they should be able to take this Azir down. He lives for a little bit longer, but eventually will be Hope to issue the killing blow. Bin running out of time on his all-out, will be forced to flash away, and that is all going to be BLG retreating after losing their mid laner.
By BLG for this dragon. That's going to be soul point for AL.
So the back and forth game that we were hoping to see between these two teams. A battle for the first seed in Group Ascend is delivering here in this second matchup. AL going to pick up this 3rd dragon of the game throughout the regular season. I mean, that's something that can play into the mental of this as well here, Melvin. The fact that BLG could have AL's number, at least so far in this season. Wonder if that will continue to be the case around this fight.
Funds are looking. Tarzan
he goes in. Really nice flash. Trying to lock down Shun, who still has not burned the ultimate. Shanks has to use the Fate Seal defensively, though. And that means that Bilibili Gaming could now go on the attack. Bin popping that control ward over the wall to get a little bit of a sense of where AL are currently situated. And with them now going back to base potentially, it's going to be BLG starting up the Baron and canceling the recalls of AL. Likely to get a full 5v5 unless AL are content with just allowing this objective to go down. Tarzan has the Baron at 6,000 HP, has the Guardian Angel, but is afraid to go over the wall just yet. A teleport comes in with the spellbook from Kyle. They've kept the Baron at 5,000, waiting for anyone's Legends to go in. Shanks goes with the Soul Unbound, but is now forced to tether back as Flandra has now overheated. In goes Knight. He goes for the shuffle, but everybody flashes away. And that is a big tool that is no longer at the BLG mid laner's disposal. He's burning down, and in goes Wolf, but he goes Golden at just the right time. And Viper is gone. On will fall. It's a double kill already for the Kaisa, and Hope has found his moment. It's a triple kill for the AL bot laner, and that will be the full ace for AL.
Absolutely fantastic from AL. They let BLG draw themselves to the end of the Baron and then say, no, this is our fight. Kyle had a perfect TP flank to go around the side and completely shut out any escape from BLG. Once they had walked too far, once they had stepped into AL's trap, it was all over from there. As we get the full 3 games. Hell yeah!
BLG looked like with the Baron they could shut things out, but AL had a glimmer of hope. We're going to a decider in our final series of the regular season. It was Hope. It was not Viper. It was the LPL mainstay that has stuck around here for the last few years, been across the league, whether it was, on JDG, down to WE, back onto AL. He stayed in the LPL, and he's now taking down the mercenary that is Viper. Yeah, you get Tarzan Sejuani, we all get Knight Galio. We get Shun Kindred. I know Mazel is watching and is very excited about this
win.
After finishing off that first series. Just a great way to wrap up our regular season.
Very, very cheap items, so got to stay on the board to keep up with them.
Yeah, we'll see if that build that you mentioned comes in. And one of the bigger synergies that Sejuani has in this game is with Flandra on the Renekton. They already forced a couple of flashes, and they're going to get a stun out of him as well. Bin in severe danger, and danger turns to death. It's first blood for AL on the top side. So a lot of summoner spells being burned in the mid lane, but it results in nobody actually dying. Now Shun going to prompt an invade here onto the second spawn of the Raptors and force Kyle back away. Another hook does land though, as On might have been caught a little bit out of position. He uses the magical journey to escape. A 3v3 around the mid lane. All but show at this point. Not a lot of full sends in this certain exchange. We've just crossed the 5-minute mark. Shun really wanting this camp, able to secure it. Hero's entrance does come out, and Kyle and Tarzan are both knocked up, and both ticking dangerously low. Shun picks up that first kill, and BLG have equalized the kill count at 1. And we had that infamous 2024 World Championship Finals where Faker just styled all over him on this pick. And since then, it seems like Knight's learned. He's had a pretty good time on this one. We're going to see him have it again as he lands a stun onto Shanks, takes him down, and gives Shun his second kill of the game on the Kindred. So BLG getting this jungle snowball rolling, and it's coming off of the back of their star mid laner, playing on more the defensive side.
Into the mid lane and shut down the immobile mage. This is the thing about locking in an immobile mage early into a draft, especially where it's that early on. Dying?
We're just praising him. That's a caster curse right there, Melvin, as Hope ends up getting a kill in the bottom lane in his own side.
We'll be able to just continue to eat up these kindred marks. Currently at 1 for sure. We've got to look at the 4 is the big marker. Once he gets that, it'll be an extra 75 attack range on the kindred, and then further 25 range for each 3 marks beyond that. That is going to be running off a base with the Kraken Slayer in pocket. I don't think there'll be anything to do over here on this side of the map, but that is a very, very scary kindred at this point into the game. You need to be super careful if you get into a fight, particularly as Bin maybe the attention of some pressure. Otherwise, it will just be Tarzan continuing to play the kindred minigame.
Dominus has been popped. AL have clearly telegraphed their next move, and that is a dive onto Bin on the top side. Knight does have the hero's entrance, going to use it to try to keep Bin alive as he goes between worlds and uses the weirding to chunk Flandra down to half HP. With Knight chasing after him, Flandra could potentially be in some danger, but there's not enough damage, not enough gap closed to allow that to happen. So just going to be a stop at the dive from a BLG. They want to just make sure no more blood is shed in the top lane.
And they do secure that mark for Shun on the Kindred, which is also important. There's hold on there. Has he overstepped potentially?
For more too, and he dies away from the dredge line of Kyle. Protoplasm Harness has been procced, and there's a lot of stuns issued onto Shun. Can they burst him down before the ulti? No! The Lamb's Respite does come out, but it's a big numbers advantage right now in favor of anyone's Legend as they are punishing this invade by BLG. True Shot Barrage going to come out. It takes down a member as the Renekton does fall, and Knight and Bin suddenly are able to make things work in the 2v3 situation. Knight down at 300 HP. Shanks issues the gravity well, but is unable to do a lot more damage onto the Galio, and both sides will retreat. Overall, a 2 for 2 with the help of Viper from long range.
Really sick Viper ultimate to clean up one. And now we get a skirmish over Dragon. Both junglers are here.
Tempered Fate does delay On's death for a little bit, but it still should happen. And there's the snipe from downtown, sticking Shun into a glacial prison. A beautiful play from Tarzan Sejuani, as it's a 2 for nothing plus the Drake for the Pandas.
That's what we picked the Sejuani for right there. Smite secure into pick onto their opposite number. And now zoning former teammate Viper away from walking to his tier 1 tower.
Will, waiting for the next fight to fully unlock. Herald could certainly be the topic of conversation as both junglers will interact there on the top side of the map.
You get very heavy trading into the mid lane. Bot ultimate down.
Speaking of Tempered Fate, it's actually going to land on the Hope, who now is exhausted and taking a lot of damage from the Mystic Shots of Viper. He dashes in and picks up the shutdown onto Hope. And now BLG have a 4v3 in their favor and will take Kyle down. So, with that kill, with that pick, AL now find themselves down to 2 men, and BLG have evened up that kill score once again.
I don't understand what we're doing here. Like, that's just incredibly greedy from the bot lane of AL, as we do get a collapse now, looking to try and at least get on.
Yeah, the teleport from Flandre is going to be first. He pops a Dominus on, going to be in some trouble as Tarzan is just fully targeting him in his own right in a 1v1. Knight going to land the Justice Punch on the Flandre, try to peel him out, and the Hero's Entrance going to at least negate a little bit of extra damage. Flandre going to get stunned up by On, who is somehow still alive at the end of the fight. It's going to be the Herald secured by Tarzan, but nobody will be able to claim the eye, as it will be BLG 5 strong trying to take the Sejuani down. True Shot Barrage barely unable to land.
He snuck it!
Kyle who sneaks in there and pulls off a grand escape with the Herald in tow.
What a crazy heist to turn up the end of that play. Thrown away the lead by the AL bot lane, and then is going to be able to finish off the play, claiming the mid lane tier 1. Okay.
Again, that snowball, they're going to have to continue to roll as they will potentially start another engage around this third dragon of the game. Tarzan starting this up as AL try to gain control around the mid lane. Remember, they already took down that tier 1 with the Herald that Kyle was able to steal away from underneath BLG's noses. Bilibili, instead of opting for a 5v5, will try to trade gold on the opposite side of the map, taking down this tier 1 to try to fill Bin's pockets a little bit.
Very respectful and definitely correct from Flandre to not stand there under that tower. Normally a Renekton would be pretty durable, but when you're against Kindred ult plus Bard ult, there's just one too many tools to make it so you can't survive a dive attempt there for it. But I don't know on did it. That's
I do see 3 wards in his inventory, so that very much could have happened. You're going to use those wards at this point to actually get vision around the dragon, or the Baron, I should say. Speaking of, on the top side of the map, it has been and Shanks engaged in a 1v1, and a teleport came in from Knight to try to cut off the rest of anyone's Legends. Flandre now answers the TP of his own, popped to Dominus, and will look to try to engage on to BLG. Tempered Fate going to slow up 3. There goes the Glacial Prison onto Shun, forces him back, and the first kill is on to the Victor, but now it's immediately traded back in a 1-for-1. Tarzan going to get singled out and taken down by 3 members of BLG, and Viper is 1v1ing Hope underneath his own area of the map. True Shot Barrage not going to connect with the weirding. Well, Bin finds the kill, and Bilibili Gaming get 4 for 1, and will head over to the big purple worm.
And it was Shanks trying to burn cooldowns to force Bin away, but the collapse from both teams it ended up being that Shanks died first, and as soon as that damage threat is down, AL are a bunch of beefy guys and a Sejuani and a Corki hitting you. It's not going to do much, so... Well, and it's going to make life really tough for Shanks and AL as a whole to play around in the next team fight. That Bard ult is going to be up quite soon. If BLG just play a slow dragon start, there's the potential to just take Shanks off the table before he even has a chance to play the game.
It's going to be about who can engage better here, Melvin. Remember, the tools for BLG in terms of finding fights aren't necessarily the most practical or the most easy to execute. Requires a lot of things going well, but so far that has been the case. As the Baron power play continues for another 75 seconds, it'll allow for BLG to march to the bottom lane, take down this tier 2 turret, add a little bit more gold into their inventories before this next dragon spawns. They want to make sure that AL do not have an opportunity to get to Ocean Soul Point at this point in the game.
It looks like they're not even going to try and contest. Shanks, I mean, Kyle's defensive Nautilus hooks have been great, but that's not what you're picking Nautilus for at the end of the day. You want to be going forwards. You need to be going forwards, as now we have just more posturing from BLG. The Baron is about to time out. No extra camp secured for Shun, still stuck.
Looking like it is a possibility, at least to open up the season with a season sweep in Split 1.
Ooh,
but there's still work to be done. Flandre has popped the dominance. He's looking to get a kill onto Bin, and he uses the ultimate straight into the arms of Tarzan. It's going to be another big pick onto the BLG top laner as he gets shut down by the Sejuani with Baron up in 35.
Tempered Fate and locked up off the back of it, but it's so easy for BLG to pop that spell shield, as now there's a lot of attention being played over to Hope.
Flandre TP's in on, looking for a flash engage. That was not the play, as he will get taken down by Hope. The Tempered Fate does land onto 2 to try to slow things down in this current engage, but AL find another massive pick, and this time on is dead as the Baron is up.
BLG could just walk down mid if they want to here. There is the potential to go all the way to inhib. I mean, it looks like they're kind of splitting the difference because AL does not want to start this Baron just
There they go.
Glacial Prism is available. Who
look
will
at Viper.
Tarzan fish for?
He doesn't know. Flandre is waiting for him. He's going to finally get caught out, but he shifts right into the Renekton's arms. On the other side of things, it is Knight already going golden with the Arcane Storm raining down on the backline of Bilibili. Here comes the hero, and his name is Knight, and takes Flandre down. And on the other side of things, the 4v2 already has the Land's Respite down. Shouldn't try to buy some time, but it's 2 more kills picked up here for AL. Knight and Viper, the 2 carries, the 2 superstars, trying to save the game for BLG, but it won't happen. A shutdown for the Shanks' Victor, and now it is Knight on the run. Tarzan trying to chase him down on his backup, but it will not be able to save his carry. It is Hope getting another, and it's AL winning the fight.
Baron is available. Tempered Fate is on the table. Will On have a spellbook change over to Smite potential?
We're on the bottom lane. It is Tarzan trying to clear some stuff out. And both tier 2 turrets are going to have waves crash at the same time.
God, it's going to be so difficult to end, though, with the extra tower playing. As Bin is
Taki.
looking for an aggressive TP.
Hope! They all know this. In goes Hope! He assassinates Viper on the Ezreal. Knight comes in, but it is far too late, as a double kill has already opened up for the Corki. He'll eventually get dropped, as Bin picks up a big shutdown, but On's already down, and it's only Knight and Bin against 4 members of AL. The Red Panda still have Baron. They are going to push down mid, and they're going to try to claim the #1 seed.
They're walking it down. They have numbers. It is just the solo laners of BLG, the ones that have made the difference every time in this matchup. Can they hold?
Neither have ultimate, neither have a ton of DPS, neither have a lot of wave clear. The Nexus tower is going to start to melt like paper against the might of BLG. Anyone's Legends kept the same roster, and in the new year are going to continue their dominance over BLG. They get the win, and they will claim first place in the LPL entering the postseason. Winners will move on into the playoffs and get a spot in Group Ascend for split number 2, while the losers will be eliminated and head back to Nirvana for the next season. As we take a look at some of our post-game graphics again,